Hello, my friend. Welcome to your bedtime story. This is Calm Narrate, and I am honored to be the voice that lulls you to sleep tonight. Chapter 1. The Artist in the Fjord. Freya Gunnarsson lived a life of self-imposed isolation in a small, weather-beaten cabin by a fjord in the remote wilderness of Iceland. The dramatic cliffs and icy waters formed a natural fortress, sheltering her from the world she wished to forget. Freya, once a celebrated artist, now painted only for herself, capturing the raw, untamed beauty of the landscape on her canvases. Few ventured to this desolate place, and fewer still knew of Freya's existence. Her solitude was abruptly interrupted one crisp afternoon. The sound of a car engine cut through the silence, and Freya looked up from her easel to see a police vehicle making its way up the rough path to her cabin. Her heart tightened. It had been years since she had any dealings with the authorities. Detective Marcus Stefansson stepped out of the car, his breath visible in the cold air. He approached with a purposeful stride, his eyes scanning the rugged surroundings. He was determined, but there was a softness about him that hinted at empathy and understanding. Freya Gunnarsson, he called out as he neared. Freya nodded, setting her brush down and wiping her hands on a rag. Yes, that's me. How can I help you, officer? Detective Stefansson, he corrected gently. I'm here about a body we found near your property. A man named Bjorn Thornson. Do you know of him? The name sent a jolt through Freya, but she kept her face impassive. I knew him once, a long time ago. Marcus noted her reaction. When was the last time you saw him? Years ago, Freya replied, her voice steady. I haven't seen or heard from him since. His body was found not far from here, Marcus said, watching her closely. I need to ask you a few questions. Freya nodded, leading him into her cabin. The interior was sparse but warm, with a wood-burning stove and shelves filled with art supplies. Her paintings lined the walls, vibrant with the fierce beauty of the fjord. As they sat, Marcus took out a notebook. Can you tell me where you were last night? Freya hesitated. I was here, working on my latest piece. I didn't leave the cabin. Can anyone confirm that? Marcus asked, his pen poised. Freya shook her head. I live alone. There's no one to confirm my whereabouts. Marcus studied her for a moment before continuing. What was your relationship with Bjorn. Freya looked away, memories flooding back. We were friends, once. That was a long time ago. Our paths diverged. Did you have any contact with him recently? Marcus pressed. No, Freya replied firmly. I had no reason to. Marcus noted her responses, his mind working through the possibilities. We found some of your art supplies near the body. Can you explain that? Freya's eyes widened in surprise. I don't know how they got there. I hadn't been near that part of the fjord in weeks. Is there anyone who might want to frame you for this? Marcus asked. Freya sighed. I can't think of anyone. I've kept to myself for years. Marcus closed his notebook. Thank you, Freya. I'll be in touch. As he left, Freya returned to her easel, but her mind was no longer on her painting. The past she had tried to bury was resurfacing, and she knew that the quiet life she had built was about to be shattered. Chapter 2: Shadows of the Past. Marcus sat in his car, going over his notes. Freya's responses had been calm and measured, but there was something in her eyes, a flicker of old pain that told him there was more to the story. He needed to dig deeper into her past. Back at the station, Marcus pulled up Freya's file. She had once been a celebrated artist in Reykjavik, known for her vivid landscapes and emotional depth. But a series of personal tragedies had driven her into seclusion. The most notable was the disappearance of her partner Emil 10 years ago. Emil had vanished without a trace, and Freya had been the prime suspect. However, there had been no evidence to charge her, and the case had gone cold. Marcus's interest peaked. He began to piece together the timeline. Bjorn and Freya had been friends during this period. Could Bjorn's death be connected to Emil's disappearance? The thought gnawed at him, and he decided to visit Freya's old gallery in Reykjavik. The gallery owner, Margaret, greeted him warmly. Detective Stefansson, how can I help you? I'm looking into Freya Gunnarsson, Marcus said. I understand she used to exhibit here. Margaret's expression softened. Yes, Freya was one of our finest artists. Her work was extraordinary, filled with such emotion. It's a shame what happened to her. Can you tell me more about her relationship with Bjorn Thornton? Marcus asked. Margaret frowned. Bjorn was a fellow artist. but he was jealous of Freya's success. They were friends. There was always an undercurrent of tension between them. Bjorn wanted what Freya had, the talent, recognition. When Emil disappeared, it hit Freya hard. She withdrew from everyone, including Bjorn. Did Bjorn ever try to reconnect with Freya? Marcus pressed. Margaret hesitated. I heard rumours that Bjorn blamed Freya for Emil's disappearance. He believed Freya knew more than she was letting on. But I don't have any concrete proof of that. Marcus thanked Margaret and left the gallery, his mind racing. The pieces were starting to come together, but he needed more evidence. He decided to visit Emil's sister, Eileen, who lived nearby. Eileen welcomed Marcus into her home, her eyes weary with old grief. I still miss Emil every day, she said. He was my best friend. Do you believe Freya was involved in his disappearance? Marcus asked gently. Eileen shook her head. No, I don't. Freya loved Emil deeply. She was devastated when he vanished. But Bjorn, he always had a dark side. He and Emil had an argument the night before he disappeared. I never knew what it was about, but it was heated. Marcus's heart quickened. Do you think Bjorn had something to do with Emil's disappearance? Eileen's eyes filled with tears. I don't know, but I do know that Freya isn't capable of murder. She's a good woman who has suffered enough. Marcus left Eileen's house with a heavy heart. He believed Freya was innocent, but he needed to find concrete evidence to prove it. He decided to revisit the crime scene, hoping to uncover something the initial investigation had missed.